Thank you. Please don't start yet, because how the hell am I supposed to follow that? That was so beautiful, as have all your stories been. And they told me I wasn't supposed to move, but it's what I do. So I'm going to try to do this without moving. Okay. Someone once said to me, the only constant in life is change. And I don't like it. But I love phones. I always have. When I was a child, some of my earliest memories involved me sliding a wooden ladder-back chair over to our wall-mounted goldenrod phone with the rotary dial, the heavy handpiece, and the curly cord. And I would call my grandmothers, my aunt, my best friends. I still remember some of their numbers. What with our trusty cell phones and the way we program numbers now, I don't commit numbers to memory anymore. And I don't know that that's a really great thing. When I was an adolescent and a young teenager, I had to use the phone to manage my very busy social schedule. It took work to determine who was going skating that weekend or who was going to meet at Schlotsky's to hang out after school. I also spent hours on the phone with my friends in romantic interests because there were so many when I was 12 and 14. So much so that my stepfather, who was a traveling salesman and required the use of a phone at any point in time to fulfill his work responsibilities, decided that I could have my own phone. Not just that, my own phone number. I was a bad ass. I had what none of my friends had, and that was my own phone and my own line. I always wanted a pink princess phone, but the white rotary tabletop phone that my parents got me worked just fine. The changes in phones and how we use them, to me, have been so subtle over time that I hardly noticed. I guess it was the mid-90s when I got my first cell phone. It was the cutest little blue brick that had this little dial pad. And I would often leave it behind when I would leave the house because having a phone 24/7 attached to me was so foreign. It just wasn't something that I had grasped yet. And I remember driving one day, that I guess I actually remembered this phone, and hearing it ring, and I'm checking my rear view, my floorboard. What is that? I had a toddler at the time, and I'm like, is that one of the hundreds of electronic noise-making things that he has that I just tried to escape from? And then I realized, oh my God, that's my phone, the one that I can carry with me. Somebody is actually calling me. That is really cool. And then I graduated to a trusted flip phone. And that's when somebody showed me that you could actually press those numbers, albeit it was 11 times, to convert them to letters to send written messages to people called text messages. But the shortcuts, like the letter U for the word YOU and GR with the numeral 8 for group, messed with my perfectionist mind. And so I would laboriously press these numbers with capital letters, proper sentence structures, end marks, the whole 9 yards, because I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't use the shortcuts. It was a teacher in me, I don't know. But anyway, I think texting is a great way to communicate in snippets like, for example, what do you want for dinner, or what movie do you want to watch? But somehow, some way, the intimacy of actual person-to-person conversation is a little bit lost. Texting's great. It's the preferred method of many, including myself these days. But I do miss the hours of phone conversations that I had with relatives and friends, because I guess in a way it was somewhat therapeutic. Oh my goodness. Remember Blackberries?
Oh, yeah.
Weren't they fancy? For a minute. And then enter the iPhone. My friend Andra was the first in our friend group to have an iPhone, and I remember gathering around her excitedly so that she could show us what this little handheld computer / phone / iPod could do. All the tricks it had up its sleeve. There was this thing called the App Store, and you could actually browse this thing and secure apps for yourself that would allow you access to email, games. There was even like a notepad. I don't have to keep up with a pen anymore. I can take notes and keep lists on my phone, which was really cool. I also remember the night we were gathered for girls' night out. We were so excited, and we're standing around near the car deciding where we would go for our first little destination. And Andra casually puts her phone, her new fancy expensive iPhone, on top of the car, as we do, with objects, cups, whatever. And during the course of our little conversation and twittering, she forgot. We jump in the car, we take off to our destination, and she realizes in short order that the phone, her fancy, state-of-the-art new device, is not with her. So we retrace our steps, or our driving route, rather. And we all mourned and cried inside when we saw this phone smashed to smithereens all over the Atlanta highway, like busted, millions of pieces. I still mourn for Andra. A moment. My first iPhone was the 3. I think I'm now up to the 13, and it has become my everything. It is my grocery list. It is my email. It is my text. It is my phone. It is my music, my radio. It is my alarm clock. I would be lost without it. I would be toast if this thing crashed, and I think most of us would. I do think, though, that the evolution of the telephone and the transition out of, like, landlines — I don't have a landline, I haven't had it in 10 years — was so subtle that I hardly noticed that as well. I do think that our technology and our mobile devices can be used for many positives, including keeping up with family members and friends that we rarely see, or that we often see. It's neat to see people that have extended their families, new grandchildren, their pets, or heck, recipes. But I also think it can be used as a negative, because very often, especially with social media, we get on this platform and we use it to spread opinion or rhetoric safely and behind the scenes. And I don't know if it's positive, because I don't know that any keyboard warrior, including myself, has ever changed anybody's mind or opinion or conviction, but still we engage, and it messes with our mental health, I think. But technology can be used in many, many positive ways, and I suppose, especially with our phones, it's not going away. So, with this ring, I promise to encourage others to embrace change, because it's not going away.